The views and opinions expressed by the guest author or speaker during this live session are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of Reader's Magnet. The content shared is for informational purposes only and does not constitute endorsement or promotion of any particular belief, ideology, or product.
Have you ever wondered what it takes to chase deadlines while still making time for bedtime stories, school events, and the everyday moments that define fatherhood? Behind every successful story is a person carrying experiences that readers may never fully see. For fathers who are also authors, life often becomes a blend of responsibility and creativity, balancing family moments with writing goals, parenting lessons with publishing deadlines, and love for their children with passion for storytelling. Their journeys remind us that some of the most meaningful stories are not only written on paper, but also lived every single day at home. Welcome to today's roundtable session, Coffee and DADlines, where fatherhood meets deadlines. Today, we gather with an inspiring group of men who wear two meaningful titles at once, fathers and authors. Behind every manuscript, every chapter, and every creative breakthrough are stories of sacrifice, love, sleepless nights, and the constant balancing act between family life and the passion for writing. This conversation is more than just about books and careers. It's about the quiet moments fueled by coffee, the late-night writing sessions after the kids are asleep, and the determination to pursue creativity while being fully present as a dad. So grab your coffee, settle in, and join us as we explore the realities of fatherhood, creativity, and the deadlines that shape both. It is our pleasure to introduce today's host, Paul Boerger. Paul is an engineering leader, inventor, mentor, and author. Paul brings over 4 decades of experience in high-tech leadership and a passion for helping others transform their lives through belief, character, resilience, and purpose. He is the author of The Alchemist's Way, an inspiring guide to personal growth and leadership shaped by his experiences as a single father and mentor. His work has earned international recognition, including the 2025 International Impact Award in 3 categories: business, leadership, and self-help. Paul, the stage is all yours.
Wow, that was quite the introduction. Thank you so much, Reader's Magnet. Nice job. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Again, my name is Paul Boerger, author of The Alchemist's Way.
Hi.
And I'll be your host for today's roundtable session. Since this month's theme is Father's Day, the title of this session is Coffee and DADlines, when fatherhood meets deadlines. That just sounds like a dad joke, doesn't it? But I'm truly excited to be part of these discussions because I'm a father myself, having just released the very first rocket scientist in our family, my daughter, Alexa. And anyway, just like the other participants who are also authors and fathers. So grab your coffee, settle in, and join us for what promises to be a meaningful conversation. To get started, let's meet our participants. So folks, why don't we go around the room and introduce ourselves. So I'll just kick this off. William, do you want to kick this off for us?
Yeah, my name is William Joe White. My friends call me Joe, and I am the author of The Voyage of a Wise Man.
Excellent. Thank you. All right. Richard, would you like to go next, please?
Well, thank you. Are we kind of broken up just a little bit here? I'm not seeing. Anyway, I'll run ahead here, but I'm not sure this is working like it should or could. Anyway, yeah, Richard Hinkey, and I'm author of 7 Keys to a More Satisfying Future at Work, and that's me.
Excellent. Thank you, Richard. And Lonesome. I love that name. if you want to go next. I think you're muted, Lonesome. All right. We'll have to go back to, I think, Lonesome after we get him unmuted, if that's okay. All right. Ralph.
That's okay.
Oh, never mind. Okay, here he comes.
I was
He's
just
back.
giving political views. You don't want those anyway. Again, my name is Lonesome B. Augustine, a.k.a. Robert Crutchfield Sr. I'm an author, I'm a veteran, and I'm a speaker. And I'm glad to be here today, and also a grandfather.
Oh, congratulations, Lonesome, and glad to have you here. All right. Aaron, do you want to go next, please? Aaron, I think we got the mute thing going on. Okay. We'll get back to Aaron, I think, later. Gary, do you mind going next?
This is Gary Krugman sitting here. Hope everybody can hear me. I am the author of Big Dreams and the Detroit Record Business. And that's a book about my life in the recording business in the city of Detroit, which I started when I was 11 years old in my parents' basement and decided to write a book all about that history of Detroit and the music business there. In addition to that, I've got a second book. Actually just came out, I think, today, and it's called The Stars Aren't Only in the Sky. And that is some insight from me on the film business in Los Angeles, California.
Excellent. Glad to have you here, Gary. Okay, we got Aaron back. Aaron, any chance we can find that mute button? There he is. Oh, so close. All right, everyone. Well, maybe when Aaron comes back, he can go ahead and hop back on the call. In the meantime, maybe we should kick off the questions. So the very first question to all of the fathers out here is, what is the most meaningful or unforgettable lesson your own father taught you? And how has it shaped who you are today as a man and an author?
Are we going in order, or do you want us to just speak up?
Yeah, raise your hand or just hop on in. So, Gary, why don't you kick this off?
All right. Well, my father was a procrastinator. And from that, I learned that the only way to really get something done the way you want it to be done is to try and do it yourself. So when I was 11 years old, I started my own companies. And that started me on my journey in life. And eventually I got married. I have 2 kids of my own, Shoshana and Jay, who I adore. And because of them, I have 4 grandchildren. So I get to celebrate Father's Day and Grandfather's Day this year.
Well, congratulations. No, that's good insight there. You know, as for me, I'd have to say that I was the youngest of 4. I was born and raised Catholic. And one of the key things that my dad taught me was I would turn guilty. I would feel like shame, self-doubt, especially in my teens, quicker than almost anyone. Again, when you're the youngest, born and raised Catholic, it's like that helps. Yeah, that happens, I think, a lot. And my dad told me, it's like, Paul, whatever you do, just don't look backwards. He said, just look forward. And I tell you, that was one of the most meaningful things to say to a young teen. All right, folks, who wants to go next? William, are you up?
Can you hear me?
There he is. Yes.
Can you hear me all right?
Yep.
I think what I've learned from my father is at a very, very young age, I learned what the effects of alcoholism can do to a family. Uh, and I learned that I had to be resilient and pretty much try to survive and take care of myself. And I kept such resilience with me all my life, and it came into play many times from the 70s on up till now. So I'd say resilience is the main thing I got from my father.
I think that's a powerful insight. I see we had another author join here. Dennis, do you want to give us a brief introduction, hello, and also the title of your book?
Yes, Dennis Killeen, author of several books, but the one most frequently referred to is Charlie's Diner, rather. I refer to Charlie's Angels. Charlie's Diner, I started writing my books in my 70s, so some of this won't apply because my kids are just that on their own, okay? But it's interesting, the fact that the question, though, is my father always had a saying, don't do a job too good or they'll make you come back and do more. Okay, so that's always pushed us to the point of trying to get the job done. Although my personal ones, I tell my kids, trying to achieve perfection is boring. If you get 95%, you're in good shape.
Those are good, wise words. And did we have another author join? Ralph, have you introduced yourself yet?
Yeah. Ralph, yeah.
Yes, can you hear me?
Hi there. Yeah, we can hear you. If you don't mind,
okay, well, here I am.
Name and your book. Hi there. Welcome.
Ralph Bilali and Land of Philanthropy and two other books, philanthropy books called Ring Around the Circle and Philanthropy, the Reality of Imagination. And tell you about my books? Well, they're two short story books, and they are very different type story. Every story is individual. In the first book, Land of Philanthropy, which is very popular.
Explain the word philanthropy.
And the word philanthropy, my wife said to explain, is a combination between philosophy and fantasy.
It's a coin.
And it's a coined word. And it
Very
doesn't
good.
exist in you.
So well, it gets us back on task here. So the question that was currently out there is, what is the most meaningful or unforgettable lesson your own father taught you? And how has it shaped who you are today as a man and an author? Lonesome, I think you were going to weigh in on this one.
Since you ask, I think it was an unintended consequence of my father teaching me to never abandon my children. That looked a lot different once I became a father of two sons, and the fight that ensued to keep either custody or to keep close proximity to them. So I learned from my father to never give up on my children.
I love that. Does anyone else want to weigh in on that first question? Or are we ready to move on to number 2?
Well, forgive me. I was having trouble with my desktop, so I shared before, but I'm not sure it got through. Did Richard's comments get through about his dad or not?
Can you share?
Oh, sure. Okay. Well, very briefly, Dad was a hard worker, poorly educated. As a young boy, his elbow was fused due to a doctor's mess up in a small town. But worked for Cargill for 41 years, driven to do his job, take care of his family, put food on the table. And before that, with World War II breaking out, even with the arm that could not hold a rifle, he had to join the military. which he did, and he was a merchant marine because they didn't use weapons. And so, that whole dedication was driving and has driven me as well as my kids. So that's enough. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, wonderful. World War II veteran as well. My dad was also a World War II veteran.
Yeah.
All right. The next question is, as a father yourself, what is one important lesson or value you consciously pass on to your children?
Well, I'll just speak up on that one. I mean, the biggest value I hope I've instilled in my children is respect. Okay. I mean, that would go a long way to everybody if everybody just respected each other.
Sure.
And I said, but only give the respect to the people who earn it. Just don't give them adulations. So and that's a good point. I think a lot of people should listen to.
Absolutely. I think, the trust and respect for the individual has got to be absolutely prioritized to enable any relationship. And I see we've got Aaron back. Aaron, are you able to get off that mute thing?
I don't know. Can you hear me?
Oh, there you go. Welcome.
Okay, thank you. I'm Aaron Paul Riley, author of Saboteurs and another book, Orion's Belt. To answer the question that was asked, my father taught me to be frugal and wise with money, time, and resources. He was always very efficient with things. And that's kind of shaped how I view writing, being efficient with word count and being very specific with word choice and trying to use brevity, in everything I write.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, those are good lessons, to come from your father there. That's wonderful. All right, so who else can weigh in on this one? As a father yourself, what is the one important lesson or value you consciously pass on to your children?
Independence.
Independence.
Everything from writing a checkbook to catching a bus.
I think I passed.
Responsibility.
Excuse me.
Respect.
You want it, William?
Well, I tried to give him the.
All right. Well, I think.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I tried to give him the.
Okay. I think what I. Go ahead, Richard.
Okay. Well, sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off at all. I tried to give him the sage of Omaha's advice. Warren Buffett. He's actually quoted in my book. He wrote me permission to do it. And that is invest in yourself. That's his number one guaranteed investment, no matter what. You will, in fact. And then the other issue is, while you're investing in yourself, support other people as well. Don't be selfish. So that's my advice. I'm done. Thank you.
That's solid advice. I love that. Lonesome or William, you guys, I think I saw you leaning into this.
As I was saying, everything from checkbooks to bus rides to timeliness, the independence was the sole factor, the thing that I thought that I could affect with my sons, and I thought it would be the most lasting, that once they learned how to take care of themselves, they would take care of themselves.
Excellent. I think independence is one of the greatest gifts we can give to our children. William, did I see you stepping into this one?
Yeah, I've instilled in my children. I have 3 sons, twins, and an older boy. I've instilled in them to be confident and independent and to stay away from peer pressure. And throughout the years, that has enabled them to avoid the pitfalls that I succumb to, such as drug abuse. And I might say that and he's almost 50. They've never smoked a cigarette, or have they ever taken drugs. So I'm very happy about that.
Yeah, that's a good legacy. All right, maybe we can go to the third question then. What is the most memorable moment, or what are you proud of as a dad right now? Please.
I'm very proud of my sons and my grandchildren in that they're leading really good lives. They have good careers, and they're really surviving the tumultuous world that we live in. So I'm very proud of them.
Excellent. As for me, my daughter just graduated last month with her Master of Science in Mechanical and Aerospace Engineering. I'm particularly proud because I've raised her as a single dad since she was 5 years old. And we loaded her up in a U-Haul, moved her to the Pacific Northwest, where she is now the very first rocket scientist in our family.
Wow, terrific.
Congratulations.
Outstanding.
Yeah. So we had to pass that torch of engineering. I've been leading and managing engineering teams now for 39 years. That poor kid, it's like she survived all of that. Sometimes it's like, I think being raised by a combination of nuns and wolves. So anyway, I'm glad she turned out okay. All right. So who'd like to go next?
I'd like to say my children are all young. I've got 6 of them now. So
oh my gosh,
quite a lot. I'm proud of them though, because all of them are pursuing their faith. They're all really into art, especially literature and music. And not that they have to follow in my footsteps, but it's inspiring to see that they are kind of going after those things that I feel are very important, to the world. So.
Aaron, that is fantastic. 6 kids. You look so happy, healthy, and well-adjusted, too. I'm kind of glad to see that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else want to weigh in on this question, or do we go to the next one, do you think? All right, I'll take that as the next one. So how do you balance the mental shift between being fully present as a father and fully immersed as an author under deadline pressure? Please, Gary.
Well, one of the things is I didn't become an author of books until I was into my 60s. My children were both grown up, both had their own careers. My daughter was a costume designer in Hollywood, and my son was in commercial real estate, also in California. So I was able to pursue the writing by the fact that we had a pandemic here. We had the rise in COVID, and I had hours and hours of time available to myself, and decided, what can I do best with this time? And I decided, my granddaughter gave me a book all about grandfather. And I opened it up. The book was probably 20 pages long with pictures and telling your advice to a grandchild. And I said, 20 pages. Knowing me, that's not going to be enough. So I sat down on my computer and I ended up writing a book that turned out to be almost 800 pages long. And it was called Big Dreams. And what it was a message not only to my kids, but to the whole world. We all have that opportunity out there. And to be able to believe in ourselves and to believe that dreams do come true and things can be accomplished is a real important lesson in life. My children went after their careers and succeeded and did very well. And I decided to go after this new career. I had spent almost 40 years in the music business. Back in Detroit, I had a recording studio and record company, and carried forward the desire I had back then when I would have people coming in off the streets who were 10, 12 years old, and they wanted to be recording artists. And instead of kicking them out of the studio, I let them sit around, watch, and learn. Many of them became very famous. The very first person I ever recorded was a fellow by the name of Glenn Fry. He was about 14, 15 years old when he came into my basement studio, and we started recording albums together. And of course, I recorded him many times over the years, and we became very close friends. And most of the people I ended up working with, I became very close friends with, because music is a way of being able to share emotions, thoughts, and feelings. And I found that those that wanted to succeed at it were really, really interested. And of course, not everybody was going to be able to succeed. Not everybody had the talent, but there were often other avenues in the music industry that you could get yourself into. And the one thing I wanted people to be able to say is, if you have a dream, you can live it. Don't sit back, but take that chance and start, and things will work out.
And what an amazing career that Glenn Fry had. And that's a fantastic story. Thank you, Gary, for sharing that with us. It was so tragic when the Eagles lost him. And anyway, but a great individual career as well as a career with the Eagles.
Right.
Yeah. All right. There we go. Dennis.
Yeah, very similar to Gary. I didn't really start writing any of my novels until I was in my 70s. So, so my children weren't going to interfere with my schedule, because they already had their own careers and lives to do that. But it was just as Gary said. I mean, it was an opportunity when COVID hit to just satisfy and go forth in a new career. So spent 50 years in the IT business, developing systems and contracts and whatever. And I just took that and said, okay, now it's time to do something different. So I retired at 70, started writing.
That's fantastic. It's like a transitioning into a writer position. That's always a challenge, going from that to that's quite a transition. Congrats. Richard, I think I saw your hand up.
Yes, sir. Very quickly, I interviewed 60 other fathers and mothers on purpose. Kids were in late high school and early college. I was writing articles on people who began their very simply, one shoveling coal at a power plant, became the president of the utility. Another woman was a nurse's aide at the Mayo Clinic. And eventually, when I talked to her, she was the head of the Mayo Clinic worldwide. So the question was always, how did you do that? What lessons did you learn? But each story was published separately. So I was able to do that without, interfering too much with the family trips and all the other kind of came together. But that was a fascinating, and I was able to share with my kids, what I was learning in the process. Thank you.
Great insight. Thanks. William, I think I saw your hand go up as well.
Hear me? Yeah, for me, my writing really didn't. I was able to coach my children in Little League baseball up into high school. I was a wrestling coach in high school. It really didn't interfere. In fact, my manuscript took 30 years to write due to a lot of procrastination, but I did get it out there, and I'm happy I did so.
Excellent. Yeah, that's quite the legacy, and I'm glad you got that out. Okay, last question before we take a little break here. The last question here for this half is going to be, have there been moments of being a father affected how you expressed certain ideas, perhaps softening, deepening, or changing your original voice or intention in terms of storytelling through your book? That was quite a question.
Yeah.
Please, Dennis.
Yes. I mean, I don't think the children had any effect on the stories that I wrote, but just as you asked the question, I'm thinking there are probably pieces of them growing up or interfacing as they got married and had grandchildren and all that. There probably was some impact in my writing, but not conscious of it. Okay, well, as I reflect back, there may have been twinges where they had an impact, at least in the way I expressed myself in the book. Good question.
Aaron, please.
Yeah, I've definitely, it's made me consider being more sensitive to like less extreme readers, because not everyone thinks exactly the way I do. I kind of think in extremes a lot of the time, and so it's definitely tried to get, or it's caused me to kind of soften, like you said, a little bit my message, but without compromising like the impact of it, because I feel like maintaining what you are trying to tell is kind of the more important thing in that, but you still have to consider how people will take what you're writing. So
yeah, I think that's one of the greatest gifts of parenthood is, it opens the empathy and compassion. It softens our hearts enough, and it is especially a father-daughter relationship. I noticed that as well. Ralph, I saw your hand go up. You're still on mute, Ralph, and please go. Ralph, I'm afraid you're still on mute. Well, I think we lost Ralph. All right. Who else wants to go? Oh, there you go. William?
Yeah, I think as I penned my manuscript and I relived the experience of an overbearing old school mother who was very strict, I think that helped me in being a little bit easier as a parent while helping my wife raise our children. And I think that worked out very well because my children didn't end up hating me as they got older or anything like that. So I'd have to say that the memories growing up really helped me become a better father and an author, quite frankly.
No, that's really good insight. I got to agree with that. Anyone else want to wrap up in this last question? I think we're going to take a short break here shortly. I'm not getting any cues on that, but it's like any other insights? Lonesome, I haven't heard from you in a while, or Gary?
No, like so many others here, I started post 50 years old writing, and I had the pleasure of having 2 sons and the displeasure of having 3 granddaughters. So the preparations that I received from raising my sons, I couldn't use a bit of it on these girls. So the way that translated to my most recent book is I tempered the language in the book for them. I wanted them to be able to read the book, so I didn't use some of the language that I customarily would have used. So that in that way, the children did affect how I wrote this particular book.
I mean, very quickly, I had twins, a boy and a girl. So in my writing, I watched my daughter not receive the attention that her brother did. And they were both excellent students. They were both very successful, still are today. They're in their 50s. But so whenever I interviewed a woman for the book, I made absolutely certain that there was equality, fairness, etc. in the process. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. All right. Let's see here. Nina, or folks, are we going to pause for a quick break right now, or? That's like, yes, please. Okay. Okay, well, if you don't mind, folks, I think we're going to go ahead and take a short break, and then we're going to come back in the second half. We'll do a quick recap of what we just covered today in the first half of the meeting, and then we got just a few more questions to close out this session. Thank you all so much.
A literary extravagance awaits you in Chicago. Chicago doesn't do anything small. Neither does Reader's Magnet. The book Confab Chicago is back. Louder, sharper, more exciting than ever. A room where authors, insiders, and of course, the book lovers. They don't just talk about literature, they shape it. If books are your world, this is your event. The stage is all yours. Book talk, inspiring conversations, meaningful connections, fun activities, and many more. Different voices, one powerful yet intimate literary moment. Only at the Book Confab Chicago. Your story deserves to be seen and heard at the heart of the Windy City. This is your chance to share it with the world.
Every year, Chicago transforms into something unforgettable. Welcome to the Book Festival at Printers Row, where Streets becomes a world of stories, not just sharing experiences, but living them. Discover new voices, find hidden gems, reconnect with stories you love. Rain or shine, the stories never stop. Be there on September 12th to 13th, 2026 at South Dearborn, Chicago, where stories come alive. See you there.
Hello and welcome back, everyone. Before we continue to the second half of our discussions, I'd just like to take a moment to reflect on some of the powerful themes that emerged from our first conversations. First, many of us are shaped by the lessons given to us by our own fathers. They taught us lessons about work, integrity, resilience, faith, responsibility, even addiction. And it kind of taught us how to show up for those that we around us. And kind of the second theme was the commitment to passing something meaningful onto the next generation. For all practical purposes, our legacies. And we also enjoyed hearing some of those proud dad moments, the milestones, achievements, and simple everyday experiences that remind us as to why fatherhood is such a great privilege. And then, of course, we talked a little bit about balance, what it means to be an author, and balancing the deadlines along with our family commitments as well. So in many ways, today's conversations just kind of reminded us that fatherhood and authorship share a common purpose. Both are opportunities to leave a legacy bigger than ourselves. Now, before we continue, I'd like to thank Reader's Magnet and the Festival of Storytellers for bringing us this wonderful reader and author event to the world, because around the world. So, just want to encourage everyone watching to follow Reader's Magnet and the Festival of Storytellers Facebook pages for future events, author features, and engaging literary discussions. And remember, today's live session is also going to be available in recorded form on both of those websites, both at Reader's Magnet as well as the Festival of Storytellers website. Now, let's go and continue our conversation. Welcome back, everyone. Glad to see we didn't lose anybody. All right. If you don't mind, we're going to kick this off with another question for the second half. So what is the most meaningful or unforgettable lesson your own father taught you? Oh, wait, that's a second. Here's the second half. Sorry about that, folks. That was the first half questions. Do you find comfort in staying within one writing genre, or do you enjoy moving across different genres? What draws you to that choice? Aaron.
So I've only written 2 books so far, and they're both kind of literary fiction, I guess. I'm really drawn to that because it's direct and it's like really gritty realism, which I'm really drawn to. But I am sort of in the middle of trying to write an epic fantasy series, and so I definitely want to try and branch out as I write more. And tackle, new writing forms, but literary fiction is for sure my go-to. That's what I like to read also. So
I love it. So are they both in the same genre? I didn't quite catch that.
Yeah, basically
literary fiction.
Literary fiction, yeah. I mean, that's kind of a broad category. So they're very different stories, but they have the same sort of feel to them, I guess. So
all right, Gary.
Muted. Okay, is that working now? My mic?
Yep. I gotcha.
Before I ever started writing, I used to write a lot of screenplays and commercial advertising. We did advertising at our recording studio. So I experienced a lot of different types and genres of writing. And in a screenplay, most of this was imagination. The story didn't exist. There wasn't any real story behind the story other than what I was about to create. It wasn't going to be a screenplay about a personality or something that already happened. So in that sense, it gave me a different avenue to look at the value of writing. And there's a lot of value in writing. It's not only in the fact that you can really create stories and tell things that are beneficial to people, that they can learn something. But in the screenplay, you can do a different aspect. You can entertain them and hide the method that you are using to teach them their own lessons and to give them the experiences in life that they might not otherwise have. And when I got back into writing a real book, I took all of that into consideration because there were a lot of people walking through the doors of my studio. It was all a dream and a wish. Can I go in there as a performer and come out there a star? And in most cases, that wasn't going to happen. But in so many cases, it did. I've had hundreds of people that came through my studio that sold millions of records. And it was a great accomplishment to see somebody who used to hang out at my studio at 12 years old, like a Stico Rodriguez or another fellow named Ray, both of them struggling little kids with nothing to do who wanted a life. And that life got to be developed and satisfied through their ability to write, sing, and perform as musicians and singers. And to watch these people who once hung out in my studio, watching other people that were already successful become stars, they themselves became stars. But there's also a reverse to that story. I started on Thursday mornings having open auditions back in the early 60s. And we would do this every Thursday. You had to call and make an appointment, and you could come in and make an appointment. And during one of these auditions, I was with a group of people who were hoping to become stars. a gentleman walked into the studio. His name was John Terry. He was one of the main singers for the Drifters. And that was, at the time, one of the #1 groups in the country. And all these young, unknowing future artists wanted to know what it's like to be a success. So this was about 9 o'clock in the morning, and then lunchtime came. I went, and there was a big boys down the street. I brought in hamburgers so everybody could eat. And before we knew it, it's 9 o'clock at night. And this John Terry stands up. And after this brilliant career, reality set in. He turns to everybody there and he says, listen, does anybody have a place I can sleep tonight? Johnny Terry was let go by the group. And now his whole life had turned around from becoming a superstar to an ordinary person, alone and homeless on the street. One of my musicians that I had signed to a contract, Joel Crowley, stands up and he says, listen, you can come and stay at my house. And with that, they got together and they walked out the door. About a year and a half later, I was in downtown Pontiac, Michigan, walking down the streets. They had just built the Silverdome in Pontiac. Pontiac was coming back as an entertainment place. There were people could go to perform, watch groups, do things. And I'm walking down the street and I hear somebody calling out, Gary, Gary. And I turn around. Joel Crowley, who I haven't seen in about a year, is running down the street and he comes up to me. And he says, do you remember that night at the studio when we met John Terry? And I said, yeah, I remember it. And he said, does anybody have a place to stay? And I said, yes. I said yes to him. And he said, he's still there. How do I get rid of him?
Gary, that is a great story. And I tell you, you've got an absolutely fantastic, I'm going to have to check out your book because it's like, I just love the richness of your experience.
Well, it's a lot of experiences.
I love it.
And all of them are true.
Excellent. Dennis would like to hear from you. It's I thought your hand come up as well, and then we'll hop on to the next question, if that's okay.
Well, when it comes to about whether staying with one genre or not, I mean, so if you spent 50 years writing business articles and things for newspapers, etc., my first published book was a juvenile book. Okay, I started out as a joke for my children rather than give them a present. I said, well, I'm going to leave you a legacy. And I wrote them a Christmas story. Okay. Then I turned it into a book I called A Mouse Christmas, which was the first book I published. That's a juvenile thing about Santa Claus. Okay. My next books were all mystery stories. Okay. Mystery romance stories, whatever. So, I mean, I've crossed over different ways of writing. So I challenge myself to do that. Okay. And actually, the book I'm writing on now is the book I started to write when I retired. I still haven't gotten that one done, but I got all the other ones done.
Excellent. Well, here's the next question. Do your kids ever influence your writing directly through dialogue, imagination, or even unintended comedic relief? Please, Ralph.
I'll answer a little bit about the genre thing. Actually, my books, they didn't have a genre for it. So they put it on anthology. And the book, I have 3 books, and I write something called philantasy. It's a combination between philosophy and fantasy. And I don't write fantasy. It's just that it's my imagination. Because my first book was a novel. I didn't even know it was going to be a novel. I just started writing and it ended up being 450 pages. It's called Ring Around the Circle, and it takes in a whole other society that I compare it with today's society. I can't even say it's society. Anyhow, excuse me a little bit. I'm 92 years old and I'm a little slow. So anyhow, I wrote this novel, And then I've been wanting to write a certain story called Benny Baby Number 7, but I could never get started until somebody said something that kicked in my head. And I wrote this Ring Around the Circle. This is Benny Baby Number 7 was the name of the story. And it's a different type of writing, okay? And I didn't know whether people would accept it until I presented it at a Mystery Writers of America. I don't know what you want to call it, where they were gathering anyhow, and it just wasn't even a mystery. But I thought I just wanted it for a critique. Well, when they ran off first place, the second, third, and then they said we've read this story and it's so different. Even though it isn't a mystery, we had to award it first place. And I want $100 off of it. But anyhow, after I talked to the 5 judges, every one of them had a different meaning to my story. Because what I do, I write the story from reality of my imagination. In fact, that's the name of one of my books, The Reality of Imagination. And they each had to say something different about it. And that told me, oh, I guess maybe this is, my writing will work. And then but being one story, then you ask yourself, okay, there's got to be more stories. And where do you get them, And I talked to a friend of mine and he told me of this dream he had. And I said, hey, that would make a good story. I'll just fantasize it a little bit. And then I presented at this, we used to meet once a week, a writers group. And I read it to them. And 2 of them said, geez, I've heard that story before. So I thought, well, he must have read it and thought it was a dream. So then I made my own story up. All of a sudden, I had to come up with something because when I write a story, I don't know the beginning, I don't know the middle, and I don't know the end. I just start writing. Anyhow, and that's the way all my writings are. I got 2 short story books and 1 novel. And it seems to be going over pretty big because I've sold a lot of books. And working with Reader's Magnet has really helped me a lot. And I'm very, very thankful to them all. So anyhow, that's about it. And on the other questions, I couldn't get in because I would start to say something and then I got cut off. So anyhow, on genres, like I say, this genre didn't exist. And I've had a lot of reviews like the Hollywood Review and so forth. And they say, you won't find this word in the dictionary, philanthropy. It's just a combination between philosophy and fantasy. And there's one of my books there in the corner. That's Land of Philanthropy.
I love that genre.
Anyhow, well, it's a very unusual.
At 92 years old, make sure that you pause this Father's Day, raise a glass, and really celebrate because it's like that is fantastic news. You look great. I'm excited you're still writing. All right, let's take a look at that. I
got another book in mind, and that's what I'll do. But once these 3 books really get off the ground, I don't plan on starting it because it's a lot of effort to write a book, as all 6 of us know. Or how many are there? 8 of us. I got to learn how to count.
At 92, you got another book inside of you. That's inspiring.
Oh, yeah.
Richard, I saw your hand up.
Yes. Because I didn't know I was going to write this book, any of these books. The first book I started off because of an incident, and I didn't know it was going to be a novel until, excuse me, let me just get rid of this. Oh, yes. There's Magnet. So anyhow, that's Robert from Reader's.
All right. Well, thank you, Ralph. It's and Richard, if you want to go ahead and kick this off.
I'll try. Okay. So the next book I don't want to, overwhelm you all, but you are in the presence of the very first baby boomer ever born. Conceived on VJ Day in Manhattan. Dad was in the Navy. Mother was a bank teller. They were downtown, same night that the famous, you've seen it. There's a statue. My mom was 94, and I'm holding her hand. She taught for 80 years. That's another story. Anyway, I said, Mom, did you and Dad, maybe, that night when the war ended? She said, yes, and you're it. So I feel like I owe my grandkids and the world a sense of what it's like to have grown up as a baby boomer. And not about me, but there was a time, and many of you are shall we say, advanced years. Right after the war, we were poor. My grandfather dug power pole holes for 50 cents a hole, 8 feet deep with a shovel, right? So it wasn't money, but there was a sense of power after World War II that even poor kids like me, we could do anything. And if I can somehow or other capture that and make people smile about the foolishness, but also be inspired, that would be my intent. So thank you.
Excellent. We'll jump to the next question then. What would you say is the greatest challenge in fully expressing yourself both as a father and as a writer? Please, Aaron, let's hope you weigh in on this one.
Yeah, as the title of this roundtable implies, it's definitely time constraints for me, because I'm trying to do both at the same time, and both of them require your constant focus and attention, and at least your deep thought. And so, yeah, it's the time. It's not ever feeling like I have enough time to do enough justice to either one, but so.
Understood.
That's it. No more.
Okay, sounds good. All right, what does a truly good writing day look like for you, especially in the context of your daily life as a father? Lonesome.
12 hours straight of writing, no getting out of the pajamas, and barely getting out of the bedroom.
That'll do it. Dennis, see you're talking, and it's like, if you can unmute.
So my similar to me is, as long as the bottle of bourbon is still going, I'm writing. Because we all need that imagination that is instilled by Jim Beam.
Amen, brother. I'm with you there. Gary.
Okay, I think my story was a little different because I started mainly writing books after both of my kids got married, had their own children, I had grandchildren, and COVID came. So I had nothing but time and an opportunity to go ahead and write. But I said earlier, my granddaughter was my inspiration. And as much as she gave me a book wanting to know all about me, and it was a book where you fill in the blanks, what was your life about, Grandpa? And that was the beginning of my writing a book about my life. So my granddaughter inspired me, and the fact that I lived that life and had the children and experienced all this, that helped tell the story, because I was telling the story of that life They were there, and so were so many other people. And I got to share all the amazing people I met, because being in a industry like the record business, where almost everybody you meet is a superstar, you meet a lot of famous people and you become famous. And one day I was asked to record the Beach Boys at Olympia Stadium. And I go there the night before to a hotel where we were all gathered to meet each other. And I didn't ever meet the Beach Boys at that point in time. And it wasn't until the next day we go to Olympia, we're on stage, and the announcer from the local WKNR radio station comes up and announces, "Ladies and gentlemen, the Beach Boys." And I look up, and there was Al and Mike, who I just had breakfast with at the hotel that morning, had no idea who they were. And all these people were coming in asking for autographs. They signed autographs. I signed autographs. Had no idea until they got on the stage and started performing that I was actually recording the Beach Boys. And this was their first recording ever at a concert. So I thought that was a privilege for me, and also an opportunity to realize that you never know what to expect in life.
You had such fun experiences. I love that. So I know Dennis's answer to this one, but when writer's block happens, how do you manage to continue creating while also caring for your family's needs? And it probably starts with that bottle of bourbon, is what I'm going to guess, Dennis, but it's like, any other answers? I'd love to hear from you guys. Lonesome, it's been a while since I heard from you.
Writer's block. No, never happens.
Never happens. Yeah.
No. Of the two books that I wrote, one is a crime thriller, and it's totally fiction. If I got stuck in one area, I think about another area. I go to work on another area. So there was never truly a block. I wasn't on a timeline of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I had a whole process. I knew what the book was about, so I could work in other areas of the book if blockage was a problem. And somehow or another, I'd come back to where I was and pick it right back up.
Yeah. I love that. Ralph.
Block either, because when I sit down to write, I have words in my head for a title. So I put it down, and usually it's the first words of the story, but I use it as a title and go right into the story. And anything that I write, it's in my head, I just write it. If you don't use it there, you could probably use it in the story, because it's, when I write, I don't know what I'm writing about. I know what I'm writing about, but I mean, I have no knowledge of the beginning, the middle, or the end. And some stories are very long, short stories that are long, and short stories that are short. And they're all very different, but I don't believe in writer's block, just like I think Lonesome McGustin said. And I don't know about the rest of you. I imagine there is writer's block for some, but I won't stop. I'll just think of words, and then those words will be a story.
I love that.
Same thing. Good.
You know, so kind of like you guys, I didn't start writing till later in life, and it was like, I can't even tell you how many times it was. I was 60, and that's like, I've been in engineering, leading and managing engineering teams for 39 years, and I remember walking into the kitchen, and my girlfriend, who's Panamanian, I'd say, you know what, I'm an engineer, for crying out loud. I'm not a writer, and you know, even if I did, I wouldn't know quite what to do with it. And she would look at me in a soft Panamanian voice and say, "Amor, can I pour a martini? Maybe make something nice?" She goes, "You need to write." So she'd pour, I'd write, and then I'd read the story back to her. So somewhere between the pep talk and a martini, I'd have to say that busted through almost every writer's block that I had. All right, we're going to have to wrap this up pretty quick, folks. And what I do want to do is leave a few minutes for everybody to introduce your book, and maybe a couple of minutes apiece, and tell us where it's available and how to connect with you after this session. Are you guys okay if we do that right now? Or is there any other thoughts you want to get out before we do? All right, William, you're up there, top left of my screen. Do you want to kick this off? Tell us about your book and how to contact you and where it's available.
Okay, my book, The Voyage of a Wise Man, is available on Amazon.com currently. You can go to my website, wisemansvoyage.com, and click on the Amazon, uh, link. Uh, yeah, I must apologize. I don't have a copy of it with me right now. It seems like every time I get any copies, they get sold. But if you go to my website, you'll see what it looks like, and you'll get ample information on the story. And I'm very pleased with the book. I hope people check it out. It's a very incredible story about growing up in the 70s when drug abuse reached epidemic proportions. And that's it,
All right. Well, thank you, William. Lonesome.
Okay, I have two books. The first is Dark Prairie. It's historical fiction. It's the story of an African-American family, recently freed slaves. They travel west. Their son becomes a wrangler, for lack of a better term. But he also runs into Cherokee Bill, Stagecoach Mary, Nat Love, and Bass Reeves. And I wrote a historical fictional story of as if they knew one another. And I won't spoil the ending, but I'll just say, think Magnificent Seven. The next book is Ice, a story of love, crime, and politics. The head of the Gambino family hires a black private detective to find his sister. Come to find out, there are missing diamonds involved. There is a plot against the country of Sierra Leone. And my private detective doesn't know any of that. And he's in the middle of an international event. So the book is available at Amazon.com, or you can buy it through my website, lonesomeaugustine.com. Thank you.
Fantastic. I love the genres, and I love some of the names that you picked for your characters as well. Gary.
Okay, oops, 1 second.
Oh, you're back on mute again. You were off for a second. You're still muted, Gary.
Is that better?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, Big Dreams in the Detroit record business. It's a true story. It's all true. It deals with a lot of famous people, the history of Motown. By the way, I started my record company and studio less than a year after Berry Gordy did. And some of the people that were like Mitch Ryder and all these other people that performed throughout the city, throughout the United States, became extremely famous. The book has hundreds of people in it. It's a real tribute to Detroit, Michigan, which is the music capital of the world now, for 150 straight years. And that was a major accomplishment. And I was in the middle of all of it. And it was very worthwhile. And this week, today, I released my second book, which is The Stars Aren't Only in the Sky. I had moved to California later in life and became involved in the movie business. And to go back, we kind of had a history of the movie business in our family. My great uncle was Al Warner from Warner Brothers. So my brother and I always thought we were going to be in the movie industry. My brother ended up winning an Academy Award for the movie Ghost that he wrote. So writing kind of exists a lot in our family. And this book here tells about the stars that want to be stars and some of the stories about how these people made it. And it's a very informative and interesting background on the music industry and this book on the movie industry. So I hope people read it and enjoy it as I did writing it, and you'll learn a lot. Thank you.
Like mentioned, Gary, I think you have such an enormously fascinating past. I just excited to pick that up.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, and Ralph, if you want to kick this off, this would be great.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I've got 3 books. One was Land of Fantasy, and that has 8 short stories and a novella and a little ditty at the end. It's got it's a really great read, according to the reviews. And then I wrote a sequel to that book because I had another 12 short stories that I started that I just didn't want to complete for one reason or another. And I thought, well, I've got to write another book then. And so I got those 8 short stories, and that's in this book. And the novella that's in the first book, Land of Fantasy, is I left it open at the end. I got rid of the antagonist, but I left it open. So I continued it into the second book along with the 12 short stories, which is a smaller book. It's only 200 some odd pages. And then there was Ring Around the Circle was my first book that I wrote, and I didn't know it was going to be a novel until I just kept writing, and it wouldn't stop until I finally said, that's enough.
Sure.
And that's this one right here. And we're getting new covers, by the way, through Reader's Magnet, and they're beautiful covers. These are all the original covers. And this book has politics, it has innovations, it has adventure, and it's a great read. So anyhow, thanks to Reader's Magnet, they were handling it very well. Oh, good Lord, that damn phone. Okay, well, that's it.
All right. Well, thank you, Ralph. Richard.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I'd
Well,
love to hear from you.
first of all, here's the book, and 7 Keys to a More Satisfying Future at Work. And it's really a pay it forward thing. I interviewed these 60 people, as I told you before. All began modestly and then had great success. So the lessons, how did you do that, were published individually, and then collectively, it's kind of like looking at the night sky. Wow, there's lots of stars and planets up there, but some of them form things like, oh, there's the Big Dipper. So there are 7 keys that came out of that book, and it's only $1 on Kindle. At Amazon, it's more if you want the print version, but it's as much about giving back. It's not, for me, about the money side of things. And the other thing is, these are lessons I actually want people to use. So in addition to the book, your7keys.com, careerdoctorrx.com, both have free downloads and helps and whatever. And if you have an iPhone or a Google phone, Android, there are free apps on the book. They're interactive. They cover all the keys. You get to type in what actions you're going to take. And the last element is, it is about a month away. There will be a completely interactive, high quality online course that you can take where you evaluate your career, ask yourself questions, decide to apply or not apply the keys, and keep track of that. When you're all done, it prints out a career plan for you. Only 8% of the people at work actually ever make a career plan. So I'm just kind of trying to encourage it as well. So that's the intent. The career doctor thing is more for fun than anything else. But the idea is, if you're having a little, quote, pain at work, maybe the career doctor has a prescription for you. Anyway, so that's me. Thank you all very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Richard. That's fun. Aaron.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so my book is Saboteurs. I also wrote Orion's Belt. They're both available on Amazon exclusively in Kindle or paperback. There's a link in my Facebook page if you find me on Facebook, but that's where you'll find them, is on Amazon.com. Saboteurs is basically a political thriller. It's kind of like two stories in one. It follows the main character as he uncovers a plot by the current president to basically establish a dictatorship, and what his response is to that, which I won't give that away. The other story that runs alongside that is a handwritten letter of a member of one of the wealthiest families in the world, who is involved in a global conspiracy to basically control all the countries and all society everywhere. And they kind of both those stories kind of play into each other and inform the other one. But that's it in a nutshell. So.
Great. Thank you, Aaron. Appreciate that. And Dennis.
Oh, I have 3 books. Okay. Charlie's Diner, Lydia's Blue Rolls Royce, and Aaron, Robert, and Eduardo. These are 3 books. Okay. They're mystery novels. The key there is I tell you what the crime was, and let's just see if anybody figures out and gets punished for it. But that's a trilogy. The characters in all 3 books, they cross over each book, okay? But each book is totally independent. And then I also have A Mousetown Kingdom, A Mousetown Christmas. This is my first book I wrote. It's a children's book. And the net proceeds from this book actually goes to charity. It goes to Lily's Hope Foundation, okay? And that's important to me, that when this gets sold, somebody gets help. Lily's Hope Foundation actually handles and helps families who are having premature babies, both not financially, but with providing diapers, bottles, and things like that. So I'm proud of that one because it really has helped.
Excellent. Thank you, Dennis. Okay. All right. Then, of course, just to wrap this up here, gentlemen, by the way, it's like make sure to stay on the call afterwards. That's what we're told, just as we bring this to a wrap. But again, I'm author and creator of The Alchemist Way. After 39 years leading and managing engineering teams, engineering projects, delivering over 100 innovations and products and services through a group of very talented people, I was able to learn a lot about transformational leadership and how to do so when you're in absolutely uncertain times. In an ancient world, the alchemists would take base metals and they would convert them into gold through a purification process, not only the metal itself, but also of the soul itself. So what we've done is we captured the principles of ancient alchemy, the principles of modern day leadership, and then of course, I wove my own story, a new product development and leading and managing engineering teams into the pages of The Alchemist Way. So it's a good read, available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble. It's also in Kindle. There's also an Audible book on audible.com and Amazon. And so also, if you want to reach out to me, don't hesitate to do so, either Facebook, as Paul Boerger, or author Paul Boerger, or also LinkedIn, and again, just Paul Boerger. Or if you go to paul-boerger.com, we can connect there. Or if you want to join our community, we're just going to be kicking this off here at the end of the month. It's called Sparks. We got 3 levels of community. We got Sparks, then we got Forge, and then we're going to have the Crucible coming up. But it's a good way to get plugged into a community of future alchemists. And you can go to thealchemistswaybook.com, and you can actually join that community there. Just click on the Sparks button. That should be up, I think you're within the next day or two. So anyway, everybody, it's been great. Let's just go ahead and wrap this up. And here, I just do want to say, it's like a Reader's Magnet. We share your story with the world. So again, everybody, stay on the call. Thanks again. And I really appreciate your participation today.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Continued success.